Hi again, it's me, Cinnamon. I'm a 23-year-old working a corporate job who loves all things personal finance, especially budgeting. And today, I'll be budgeting my first paycheck of 2023. So, let's get into it. I have my net pay here of $4,121.29. I've already removed taxes and also my contributions to my retirement accounts. But before I assign out my net pay, I want to go over some changes I made to make sure that my 2024 budget is working with my annual plan that I posted earlier. So the first thing is that with my annual plan, I had to increase some of my targets on my categories. So I increased my transportation target from $90 to $120, my health and hygiene expenses target from $60 to $120, my aesthetic expenses category from $90 to $120, and finally, I increased social activities from $120 to $90. I think I also increased skill development from $60 to $90, which now I'm looking back like, why did I do that? I rarely have to spend out of this category, but that is fine. And yeah, that is pretty much like in line with my budget plans. You guys know I overspent on food a lot, but I actually did increase the targets. I made two separate categories, one for groceries and one for eating out, and totally they're going to add up to $600. So whenever I have to spend more on groceries, I will spend less on eating out and vice versa. And the reason why I didn't increase the target, even though I regularly overspend in this category, is because you have to balance a little bit of like realistic budgeting versus like idealistic budgeting. Like, I think if I do increase the target, I'm just enabling myself, and it's really not what I need to do. And I'm starting to take habits that are going to actually change my behavior to be in line with the $600 goal. I feel like $600 is already like very generous, so I should be able to hit that. Like, I have to actually work towards that. I can't just, I don't know, change things to enable my behavior. So there's a balance in how you have to do that. So I think separating out the categories though and really highlighting and calling out intentionally buying groceries will be a change that will like shape my behavior. Anyway, in order to increase all of these categories the way I did, I had to underfund one of my categories, which is my discretionary spending category over here. And the reason why I had to underfund this category is that I fund my core spending and my discretionary spending categories with um, my next month's holding category over here. Oops. Yeah, so I am a month ahead and I save the money over here and then I fund everything. But because I increased my targets, I didn't have enough that I had saved in December for January. And you can see here that I had only saved $3,390.86 for January. But now I need to save $3,605.86 to make sure that I can cover all my core spending and discretionary spending categories for every month. So even though this category is low for this first month, I think I'll be okay because it usually goes to covering overspending on food. And again, January, you start off the year with high motivation, and I will be using that motivation to make sure I do not overspend on food. So it will happen. It actually will happen. Okay, given that all of my core spending is covered and I have a little bit in my discretionary, and I'm just going to leave it underfunded even though I have money here because it is like a challenge for myself, I'm going to move my focus to my next month's holding category like usual. So I can just click underfunded here. And yeah, now I will have enough to cover February. So after getting a month ahead, I still have $517, $515.43 left over. Normally, I would put this into investments because that's how I would handle my financial order of operations. I like to do getting a month ahead, then all my investing goals, and then whatever is left over, put into sinking funds. But this year, I am expecting a significant change in my salary that I did try to estimate in my annual planning video, I do think that I have pretty good skills with this like estimation stuff. So I do think those numbers are going to be like right, but it's still really tricky because those numbers are counting on a promotion to happen in Q2 that I'm just like not really sure is going to happen in Q2. Um, because this promotion process is very slow and very draining. And so I don't know. I don't really like having like my numbers in the hands of that. And it's also based on 2023 bands, like salary bands, but 2024 salary bands are going to be higher. So if I underestimate my income, I also then underestimate my investing goals based on my plan. So I feel like it's just better for me to work with whatever's actually coming in and plan out like month by month until I get that promotion and I have a better grasp on what my actual salary is going to be. I hope that's making sense. So, my annual plan is still really helpful though because it is giving me like a good idea of what I'm going to need to spend in 2024. And I think my new plan will be giving myself a fixed budget with respect to my sinking funds and then investing all the rest. So it's like the opposite of pay yourself first in terms of like investing first, but I think it's actually going to lead me to saving more money because I'm essentially going to make sure that I'm living like a very fixed lifestyle regardless of my pay. So even when I get pay increases, I don't increase my spending. I don't increase what's going to my sinking funds because I'm not thinking in a percentage way anymore so that when I earn more, I actually spend more, but I'm saving the same percent. Instead of doing that, I'm going to play it so that when I earn more, I spend the exact same, and then my savings rate will go up as I earn more. So that is my plan for this year, which is very different from that annual plan in a way, but I have like done so many things since I made that annual plan to get ahead of that annual plan. And yeah, I kind of need to make a new one because I already hit so many of my sinking fund goals from when I filmed that video because it really showed me like, hey, everything I want to do in 2024, I can actually do now. So it's still really great to make, but a little outdated in terms of what I need to do with my money. Anyway, this is all to say I had to come up with a number of what I would allow myself to spend every month across my, let's see here, yeah, across my core spending and my sinking funds. So when I have like leftover money in my core spending categories, I'm actually going to start moving that directly to my sinking funds. And that's going to make sure that what I do save on a monthly basis in core spending, I still allow myself to spend in later months rather than having what I do save in core spending ultimately go to my investments, which would, that's fine, that's all good. But then I would feel like maybe I'm giving myself too tight of a budget because I'd actually be underspending my like spending allowance every month. So I want to make sure I'm giving myself the full amount of my spending allowance because I don't want to feel like deprived in any way. Anyway, I'd done some math earlier. And in my holding, I'll need to add 727.47 every month to give myself a $52,000 spending allowance for the year. And is that spending allowance going to be enough for the year? We will see because let's just actually flash back to my budget goals. So that was like my 60% savings rate goal. And that didn't really seem feasible because I had to make up like an $8,000 deficit given what I had in my sinking fund. But if we go back to those sinking funds, you can see that I already actually, one of the most expensive of my sinking funds was putting $9,000 to surgery. But I've already put the full $18,000 I want to put to surgery in 2023. So that sinking fund doesn't have to be done anymore. And that means like this deficit actually isn't a deficit anymore. I don't have to put $9,000 anymore. So this $8,000 is essentially made up. And that way I might actually be able to hit this goal. And I'm going to do a little spoiler here, but I did go over my 2023 spending and I spent $52,000 in 2023. So that number actually is pretty realistic for me. So I want to start there. And if I do have more expenses than planned, I will give myself flexibility. But I think, you're starting off the year, you want to start like kind of the strictest you'll start because you have high motivation. And then throughout the year, you like lose motivation, then you'll gain it again, you'll lose again. You'll have those ebbs and flows. And I think just like when you have the motivation, you should capture that and capitalize on it. So that's what I'm trying to do right now with my plan. What I do feel like might be a problem or might be a benefit to my plan is that surgery money, I might actually have a lot left over if I go get surgery done overseas, like in Korea, and now I'm kind of looking at Turkey. Yeah, that would save me so much where I'd actually have leftover money in this sinking fund. That would allow me to spend even more like on other things in 2024. So hopefully I like one of those doctors enough and I'm like willing to take the risk because that would just be such a like money saving hack for my whole budget. So that is something I'm banking on a little bit as I develop this plan. But I have $515.43 going into my holding. I'm going to wait until I have the whole $727.47 before I separate it out. There's nothing that immediately comes to mind as a category that needs to be funded. I have a dental thing coming up this month, but I should have my insurance covering that. Uh, I will probably need to pay taxes, so that will probably all go to this financial planner category. Don't have, yeah, I don't have anything that might go into here. I do maybe have a birthday, so I might want to put like $90 aside for a birthday, but that's touch and go, really. Okay, I think I'm done. Not crazy on the budgeting front, pretty simple budget. I feel like if you're someone who doesn't super duper enjoy budgeting, but you want to like stay within a budget, it is just so helpful to have ynab out, set out your targets, know the amount you need to spend every month, give yourself an allowance on that spending, and then just invest the rest. That is just a very simple way to go. And that's why my budget videos are so simple. I don't spend too much time like thinking about where to assign things, right? Like I pretty much just have a system that is like, oh, next month, same 1 month ahead, give myself a little bit for sinking funds and invest the rest. And yeah, that is my kind of advice for how you might want to approach your finances in 2024. So I hope you guys like this video and I will see you guys with my second budget. And another spoiler alert is that I am getting 3 paychecks in January, so things should be really fun. Bye!